Hello and welcome to Keep on Cybertrucking, a podcast where Cybertruck owners share their experiences, talk about electric vehicles and all things technology. Unfortunately, we don't have Will with us today, but my name is Eric. We have Chase here. How's it going, Chase? I like your shirt. Yeah.
So rare occurrence, I bring one out. So
Well, this is something we can talk about. I was really looking forward to coming out to Austin in a few weeks, and we could have went golfing.
could have.
But unfortunately, it looks like the Tesla RoboTaxi event was unfortunately delayed. They
August 8th.
Yeah, they're moving it from August 8th to sometime in October. No date has been set as of
I mean, it's
yet.
got to be the 10th. If they're going to do 8/8, they got to go 10/10.
And knowing Elon, he would do something like that, right? Like he
For the
likes
lulz.
he likes that. He likes to do stuff like that. But yeah, it was a surprising thing. We're so close to the event. It raises some eyebrows because last podcast we were talking about how Elon promised full self-driving to Cybertruck owners by the end of June. Obviously, now we're getting towards the end of July. We still don't have that. And so last week we were raising our eyebrows and raising some concerns as to what's going on. And shortly after our recording, there wasn't that, news that it got delayed to October. Elon then gave out some information on that. If I could pull that up real quick. And
I can only speculate is due to maybe some delays in 12.5, because I think we were all expecting it to hit 12.5 by the end of June, and then that would have lined up perfectly to tee up, pun intended, August. But now that we don't have 12.5 in June, I think that makes sense why it's pushed.
yeah, quite possibly. I mean, what his response was is the fact that he says requested what I think is an important design change to the front, and extra time allows us to show off a few other things. So
The Roadster.
Well, I was going to say anybody that knows Elon talk, he's very vague. Things are very loosey goosey, right? So really nothing specific other than an important design change to the front. What design change exactly? What does that mean? We don't know. But the more gray area portion of this comment is the fact that it allows extra time for them to show off other things. What those other things are, yeah.
And I will say, I got a chance this week to actually swing by one of the showrooms. I won't say where, just to
Okay.
keep it vague. But
Speaking
was able to
Elon.
yeah, speaking Elon, I was able to talk to some people, at least one person in particular, and get some kind of nods and some sways. They think that I think that this 8/8 now could be 10/10 or whatever is going to be in October. We'll definitely see the reveal of the Roadster, because I think we're going to see RoboTaxi as well as the Roadster. I think that's kind of the sentiment that we're seeing, and I would guess it's doing something to the delay. If it's probably not the cause, but I would assume the cause is probably what's going on with 12.5. So we'll see. But I think that could be the cherry on the top. The one more thing is definitely going to be the Roadster.
The one more thing. Yeah. I mean, I know I've said it many times on the podcast. I'm very skeptical on the Roadster. I think obviously there's already some made. I think they will make them. I don't know if it's going to be a mass-produced vehicle, something that's going to be just readily available. But I hope I'm wrong, because it's a gorgeous vehicle, one of the best looking vehicles I've ever seen. So.
And I brought up, speaking of just the Roadster for one quick second, is I brought up the idea of, like, well, Tesla had kind of an array of vehicles that very looked similar in a way. They all looked
Mhm.
like a Tesla, and then you have the Cybertruck. So
Yeah.
they really pivoted hard to something new. So I feel like the Roadster could have that open opportunity to be something new, but then the idea was brought up, and I agree with it, is that uh, you're getting into that supercar and the hypercar kind of realm, and
Hmm.
they're already kind of crazy, kind of swoopy, all crazy designs that make practical no sense. And it would make sense that the Roadster would want to still look like a Tesla because it's still taking on that Tesla brand. So if you put the Roadster next to a Bugatti or Pagana, or what is it?
Yeah, you'll know exactly
Pagana.
that's a
Yeah, you
Tesla.
know it's a Tesla. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's kind
Yeah,
of the idea. But so I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. I mean, I think we've all seen
but
like
with rockets in the back.
yeah. Instead of like the Lambos that have like the exhaust that
Yeah,
spit fire, that literally
yeah.
it's gonna have rocket engines that spit actual
There's
fire.
gonna be rockets back there. So
We're gonna have like what is it? Superchargers with rocket fuel stations to refuel your, your Roadster with. Who
that
knows?
yeah, yeah. It's there's also speculation of RoboTaxi really just being Cybertaxi. Um,
It's
I don't.
more space.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't they shown already? Uh, they've teased a little bit of the robo taxis, and it definitely was not a Cybertruck. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely concept.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to put together. It's nothing. It's par for the course with Tesla. The fact that there's another delay on something. Anybody that follows Tesla knows that's what they do. So not surprising. But let's hope that in October, 10/10 as Chase is predicting, they show us something really cool and it really wows everybody and it was worth the wait. So I guess time will tell. But talking about 12.5, one thing that came out this week as well was the fact that part of 12.5 is the fact that vehicle to fleet communication. So essentially, the vehicles are able to communicate with each other and able to relay information back and forth, even if there's some type of loss of connection between Tesla base and the vehicles. They're still able to communicate with each other and help each other navigate and traverse whatever terrain or the roads or whatever the case may be. So just another portion of full self-driving that Elon has teased and talked about for years now, which I think a few podcasts ago I mentioned how the semi they talked about the fact that there could be one person driving a semi and one, two, three others following with no driver in those because they're just communicating with each other and they're using the system to track and follow. Um, so
Yeah, for
that's cool.
years even. I think I remember because um, I lived in LA actually for about a year and a half or so, give or take. And I remember that was also when like Waze was like fairly new, and like getting around LA traffic, it was absolutely necessary for Waze, and that's even back then. That's when talks of full self driving and the idea of what they could do was even a thing. So this is kind of cool to see it finally become a reality of being able to talk to each other. And it's going to be absolutely necessary for robotaxis because we've already
Yes.
seen, even in Austin, we've seen like I mean, I don't want to name certain companies, but certain robo cars have gotten stuck and gridlocked because they're like stuck in an area, and you have like a whole street full of like robo taxis or robo cars, I will say, because robo taxi is probably going to be now a term that only is going to be on Tesla, but cars that are just stuck because they're stuck in navigation, they don't have a way out, and they have like they need user error or user intervention to be able to get them out. And even Elon had teased that too, that maybe that's kind of the way to go about it. I think we talked about it, like if something would happen, maybe an employee from Tesla remotes in and then overrides and gets the RoboTaxi out of trouble or out of the situation it needs to be.
Yeah, it's 100%. You're 100% dead on that. I think they need that communication, and that's what I'm saying. I think that was a good segue because you had mentioned that it probably has to do with the 12.5, and there's going to be a lot packed into 12.5. There's so much that they're trying to achieve and accomplish, and it takes time. It takes time. They got to iron out all those details. They want to make sure that it works. I'm sure they don't want another cracked, shattered window at an event, so they want to make sure that the thing is ready. So
I don't know. How are they going to get good Easter eggs that way?
that is true. That is true. Cybertruck has some Easter eggs.
It was good. It was honestly good publicity, even though it was bad. So
It really was. I'm sure in the moment they were like, "What the hell?"
yeah.
But they had fun with it. They understand. They know.
They proved
So
themselves afterwards, so that's good.
100%, 100%. Also, getting back on the Cybertruck, there's two new accessories that were released this week, and in typical Tesla fashion, Cybertruck fashion, they sold out immediately.
Instantly.
Yes, the first one was these seats that will attach to the back of the tailgate, and we can show you where that attachment would go. But so if you're tailgating, you're camping, you're at a park, whatever, at the beach, you're able to sit. You kind of have a comfortable seat to sit on in the back of the Cybertruck, and something cool, and
Yeah, I
it
love that.
attaches to this bike. What do they call these things? Like I guess the tailgate protector for your
Tailgate
bikes.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah, the cover.
Early days, like maybe 4 months ago, someone was like, "I've got a great idea that nobody's done it yet." Um, I think it was a guy who actually worked at Rivian who has a Cybertruck. He's like, "Man, nobody's made this thing. I always use it for my other trucks. Like it needed to happen, so it was bound to happen from Cybertruck." I did not realize that it actually hooked into the other one, so you can't really have the
Yes,
seats without the cover.
exactly.
That's game changing. I almost put money down, but I realized that I think I caught it late, so I'm like, of course they're going to be sold out by the time I actually try.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, you need the cover, the bike cover, in order for you to use. At least based off of the images and what we're kind of looking at
yeah,
here. You need that to clip them in. I mean, obviously you don't need it. You can just put it there and you could sit on it, and
yeah,
but you may slide around a little bit. But I mean, if you're just sitting there, you could just sit there. So I mean, I guess you don't need it, but
yeah.
it helps keep it in place.
At that point, you might
Um,
as well get one from like Costco that's like for bleacher stands. It's
you
no
can,
different.
but that's no fun, Chase. That's no fun. There's no fun in that. That's not
Eventually, I'm
it's
gonna
not
like lose
Tesla
storage.
branded.
I'm gonna lose storage space for all these accessories in the truck. You're
Yeah, I know, for real.
gonna
So,
have to pick and choose. But yeah,
but it is.
it's funny. I joked about like this yesterday. We had like a photo shoot where I had 4 cameramen in the bed of the truck, literally like full harness strapped to the bed, and I'm sure they would have
Jeez.
loved to have a nice little seat because we had the tailgate down up on the highway doing some photo shoots. So the Cybertruck is the go-to truck for media if you are out there shooting on the road.
So they were using your truck to shoot other vehicles?
Yep, we had 2 Lamborghinis and 2 Ferraris in tail.
Look at you.
It was a lot of fun. We weren't going over the speed limit or anything. We were keeping it legal, everything. Hand on Bible, everything. It was good. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool like hypercar events in Austin. I will say. So if you have a Cybertruck, definitely keep an eye out. And these are actually a good segue. These are the same guys who co-hosted the Cyber Rodeo event you've heard about in Texas. Same people. So
Oh, nice.
their video of like the column of like 90 Cybertrucks has gone viral. Like they said, it's gotten quite a few million views now. So it's gone all over
Nice.
the place. Elon's mom liked it. So there you go.
There you go. Hey, May, right?
Yeah, May
If May Musk
Musk.
gives you the the like on social media, you're golden. Real quick, we have Accelerating Tech in chat. he says that a few months ago he met Franz and he asked him specifically about the Roadster, and Franz's response was, "It's still here." It says he said they still need to work on it. So
I bet.
what Accelerating Tech is kind of saying that he got the feel from Franz that Roadster's still a ways away. So
Well, look at the Cybertruck.
speculation, but
They
that's the feel
announced
he
it.
got.
What, they announced it in 2019, and we just now got it. So I mean, if it's to the point where it's ready to be like, hey, here's what we're building, but it's not ready for production yet.
And they keep adding
Maybe.
to it, right? I mean, we were semi-joking about the rockets, but Elon has stated that there's going to be
Yeah.
rockets in it. So they're adding. What did Elon say when a few years after the X came out, that it was over-engineered, right? There's so
Right.
much that they put into it. He went all in. He went crazy on it, and he don't want to say he regretted it, but he goes, "We did a little bit too much." It's kind of what Elon does, and it's kind of why he's, Elon. And I think that's what they're doing with the Roadster, right? They're just packing it with all
Yeah.
of this cool factor, and that takes time to make sure that it works and it's what people are going to want to pay 300,000 plus for it.
Yeah.
So
Well, look at the Cybertruck. That's minimal right there.
exactly. I mean, look at the Cybertruck when it comes to the exoskeleton, right? They had to develop machinery in order for them to produce the stainless steel.
Yeah.
And not a lot of automakers are going to do something like that. They're not going to invest that type of money to be innovative. And Tesla and Elon said, yes, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want. This is what, we want to be different. We want to be crazy. We want to give the consumer something that just, it's going to make people go, what? And
Yeah.
that's what they do. So, and I'm thankful for that because I got sideswiped and I had no body damage. So thank you for that.
It's easily repairable too.
Exactly.
Within reason.
Big thing. I know something that you've been waiting for, Chase, beyond your light bar, which we'll get to shortly.
Yeah.
But something I think probably, if I had to guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, probably the accessory that you're probably anticipating the most. Let me
the
show
aero
you.
caps?
The aero caps.
Hey, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because like I made the joke on X. I was like, give me. I've got like $2,500 in credit burning a hole in my pocket. I'll spend whatever I need to get these. But someone brought up a great point, is that we're owed these.
Yes.
So
You shouldn't have to pay for these.
Exactly. So it sounds like we're actually, owners are getting a text from the service center. They're like, "Hey, your aero caps are ready to be installed."
Yes.
So that's great, and I'm looking forward to that text here, hopefully in the next few weeks. So that's really exciting. And honestly, I think the best thing about that is they just kind of shortened the ends of the pieces that were like kind of rubbing into the tire prematurely. So they didn't compromise the overall design, in my opinion. But they just kind of fixed the issue.
Let's go ahead and show that.
Perfect side by side. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So that was kind of the edge. And then I know for like you, because you still have some OG caps, people have actually just been like trimming them off.
And I've had a lot of people in videos that I've done suggest, hey, just go ahead and trim it. And I'm like, no, I've had people offer me thousands of dollars for these things. I'm not trimming anything.
Yeah.
If they're worth that right now, I mean, what could they potentially be worth 10 years from now? So I'm not altering them whatsoever. But I will say this. I am excited and happy that they went away from what the original redesign looked like, because those things were hideous. Yeah. This looks exactly the same, just that rubbery part that kind of goes into the indents of the tires is just cut short. And if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't even notice. And I think it looks great because I like the aero caps. I like the aero wheels. And so I'm really happy that this is happening. I'm assuming I get some as well, right? even though I have the originals?
I would
I'm
assume
assuming it's a recall, right?
that's a great point. I would love to hear about that. Yeah, I don't know, and yeah, that'd be
So,
interesting to see. And another kind of small thing I just noticed, if you want to bring that back up, there's
oh, sorry.
the very center hex is actually inset a little further in.
I noticed. You know what? It's
Yeah,
funny that you say that. I thought I noticed that. I just didn't know if it
I
was
don't think
just
it's the
my.
lighting.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's the lighting. Yeah, right here, right? Like
Yeah,
right here in the middle, it looks like the new ones are pushed in, as opposed to what kind of looks like more of a flush design on the originals.
yeah, which I don't mind. And honestly, what made me think about that is actually a lot of people, and even now on Amazon, you can get them super cheap. Is like the little like hex pieces to pop in there of the wheels
Hmm.
without the aero covers. And I saw someone mention a great point that I never think about. Like I didn't understand why I didn't like those until they mentioned it. It is because those caps that like fill the hex like
Hmm.
space
Hmm.
also had like a circular center, and they're like there's nothing curved or circular on the entire truck, so having like
Mm.
a wheeled circle in the middle actually feels wrong in the design. So that's why. And you notice like there's no curves, like it's all straight angles
You're
on
right.
everything. um so yeah, if you're debating on buying those, or you just picked up the Cybertruck right now, hold off. You
Yeah.
probably won't need anything until a couple weeks from now. So hopefully they're going mass market with this and getting them out pretty quickly, because that would be great. Uh,
What what I'm really hoping for is I scheduled a service center visit, just to kind of take care of some loose ends on my Cybertruck, some outstanding fixes that I've needed. Nothing major, but I'm kind of hoping, because I think it's in 2 weeks. Yes, it's in 2 weeks, my appointment. I'm hoping that they will have these there. If they don't, I'm gonna for sure ask
mhm.
about them. So hopefully they have them and they're able to give them to me.
It's
That's my
interesting.
hope.
I'll have to. I didn't even think about it until now. But I actually few podcasts back, after the podcast, I like put in a complaint on the service center portal in the app. I'm like, where are my arrow caps?
Did you
And
really?
then yeah, and then they scheduled an appointment for I think July 5th or something. It was a couple weeks ago, or not too far long ago. They scheduled it ahead of advance. I'm like, oh wait, what? This is random. And then they canceled it, and they're like, it's not ready yet. So I'm like, oh,
Mm.
that's it's kind of interesting that it's happening now. That like maybe they were already kind of preemptively kind of thinking, oh, it's about ready to go out. We can get aero caps installed, and then it just happened to fall into the system. But yeah, now
Interesting.
it's
I didn't
that's
know
interesting.
that happened.
My only gripe though is I wish they would just ship it straight to my house. Like I don't, they're easy enough to pop on. I don't think I need a service center visit
I mean,
to install
it could just be shipping costs. They're
them.
figuring we're constantly shipping stuff to service centers in
True.
bulk. Um,
Put 'em on the truck.
that's a lot cheaper than shipping individually to
I mean, I would
people's
pay like an
homes.
extra $50 just shipping to my
You
house.
want your arrow caps, man.
Just like my main thing is like the service center is like it's what, like 40 minutes away. I'd pay for the convenience at
Oh,
this
is
point.
it
But
really
yeah,
that far from you?
yeah, yeah. It's like,
Oh, okay. That makes
but
sense. Yeah, you don't want to have to drive all the way out there if you don't
because
need
then
to.
it's like a whole thing. I got like space out time, and like, all right, I got to take time at work if it's during the day, and then yada yada yada. But it's fine. But I'm happy aero caps are coming. Like so, like I said, all of my gripes, if you've been following on since March, aero caps definitely one of them.
Yep.
Now we're here. Um, the power share money,
Yep.
we're back up
Which
to 2,500. Now we're here.
Yep. Yep.
And then now soon to be light bar. At least I got T-Sportline. I don't know if you wanted to segue, but that's a good one.
As you were talking, I was loading everything up.
Yeah,
So
there we go.
so perfect.
And a
So
great news today too, even from Cybertruck directly. They gave us some kind of light bar news-ish, like at least kind of confirmation at least.
yes.
So that's good.
Yes. So Tesla, it just it's funny how it worked out. You received your T-Sportline light bar when?
Yesterday at 4 p.m.
Okay, so you received it yesterday, you installed it today, and then I believe today, I forget exactly who, I don't have it queued up, but a representative from Tesla confirmed that the light bar, Tesla branded light bar, is coming soon. Once again, that
Yes,
Elon talk. It's coming soon, and obviously they're going to be installed and delivered to Cyberbeast owners first because that's part of the Cyberbeast package.
they're included.
Exactly, it's included. But that is separate. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about. I would love to hear the installation process. I would love to hear, you know, how easy it was to install. Anything weird. How's the how do you like the look of it now that it's on the truck, and then just overall thoughts on it? Because
I sent you more photos, right?
yes, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yep.
And so I put in the order almost right away when we talked about it on the podcast. So that was I just pulled up my email. That's April 24th. Now it is July 17th. So quite a bit of a gap between that, and I didn't realize until after I ordered it that it was quote unquote a pre-order. So hey, that's a great look there too. So yeah, honestly, it came in. Honestly, my biggest gripe has been just the delay and the wait. Not because I like back up a little bit. The only reason I got this light bar because I knew that Tesla wasn't anywhere close to getting us a light bar. So I'm like, okay, I want a light bar. I love the look. I want it to be more aggressive. Plus the utility of it. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So got the T-Sportline, but now here we are, right in time that almost Tesla light bar is going to be coming out, and how we finally got the T-Sportline. But there's a lot to get. There's a lot to unpack. And price wise, this was their quote unquote pre-order price. I think it was like $750. It was about like 800 and some change after taxes and stuff like that. So not terrible. I think it's the quality of light is actually pretty good. It's super bright. We just tested out this evening. It can definitely throw hundreds of feet into the space in front of you. What's nice is it's adjustable, so you can actually adjust that throw angle,
Oh,
which
here,
is
let me show
nice.
that again.
And I don't think that's actually something you can do with the Cybertruck one. So you can kind of see there's just a nut on the side, just a hex screw. You can kind of adjust that bar up and down. And then to the right of that, you can see there's actually quick release snaps. So you can actually pop those up, unscrew it, and I can take that whole light bar off. And then those little the flaps that it's connecting into, I can just close those up and it's back to where it was OEM. So that's kind of a cool feature that it's like if you need to take it off for whatever reason, you can take it off, pop it on. That's kind of a handy feature that is not something you're going to get from Tesla. But overall, I like the quality of LED, the light. The metal brackets feel sturdy. Install was pretty easy. You can see here. So to get the actual bar mounted, you should basically just open up those ports, unscrew the bolts that are already there, put down their brackets, screw down the bolts, and then screw down the quick release to affix it to the top there. So honestly, it took less than 20 minutes. Super easy to actually install physically on there, and you can actually see I zip tied down the wire that's coming from the light because I didn't want to fly it off. I had to go to an event. Like I said, we're gonna go photo shoot. I didn't want it flapping around, so I just zip tied it down just so it's easy. Actually, I would probably recommend if you do get this one to kind of loop it through because it is long wire. You don't need all that length. And when I did finally wire it up this evening, I did zip tie down the cord again just to make sure it's not gonna move around. And the wiring process was pretty straightforward. You can't even see it in that photo, but underneath there's wires coming up from the truck from that port. You can kind of unwind the tape that tapes them together, and then you just basically just have 2 or 3 raw wires. You take the red and the black wire, strip them off. They give you like a little soldering sleeve that you can like just put the wires into, and then use a heat gun. So that's really the only gotcha. Thankfully, my neighbor had a heat gun, so that worked out really great. You just put the wires in, heat gun, solder them together, and then it's good to go. So with that, it actually gives you. So what you're seeing here is actually like a quick disconnect. So like we said, we can easily remove this. It's got a soldered quick disconnect cord to the Cybertruck that I can just unhook and then take the light bar off and then stow that underneath and then close the flap. So that's really cool. I think that's something unique that the Tesla light bar doesn't have. But there's a trade-off because there's a couple of features that the Tesla one has. But overall, I think T-Sportline did their due diligence. I think the brackets were well designed. It fits there, and I think what this one does that the Tesla bar does not is it feels like it's lifted up a little bit and it feels a little bit more aggressive. So if you're going for that more aggressive like light bar look, but you don't want like round lights, I think this kind of fits that to a T. So definitely works really well. Super bright.
And it looks really cool. Like this image here showing the front of your truck. It looks like the sun is setting. Obviously, the light bar in the front of the Cybertruck is on, and then you have the T-Sportline light bar up top, and it just the look of it looks really, really cool.
Yeah,
it adds an extra touch for sure.
Blew out my iPhone camera as much as you can take, so it definitely works really well. And it was kind of fun because I'm starting to play with it and getting more into kind of the usability of it. So for Cybertruck owners, that same port, that's where those wires come out, and then to access the power for the power feed from that, you have to go to outlets and mods, and there is a top roof power feed switch. Then that's basically how it can turn on the light and turn off the light. That's all fine and dandy. I just kind of wish there was more of like a quicker way to get it. Like I know there's the hotkey. If you like press and hold the left scroll wheel, you have like a list of things that you can actually like choose which things. Like you can like press and hold and have the glove box just open up.
That's what I have mine set up as. Yeah,
it's super cool. I just wish you could activate the light bar. And when I was diving more into it, and this is actually in the off-road package, the manual of probably why they didn't do it. For one, obviously, when you're driving on street, it's illegal to have your light bar like shining at people for obvious reasons. So it's really meant for off-road mode. And something I didn't catch until today's like off-road video that they shared is that they you can probably pull that up, but they shared a little bit through their a little tidbit about the light bar, and they said, "Oh, we've got this, off-road light bar, and I forget where it is. It's like towards the middle end ish, but they show in off-road mode an actual hot button in off-road mode that turns on the light bar." And I thought that was interesting because we haven't had any details, ironically, until now that I actually get the light bar in hand. That for there you go, perfect, right there. So you have in Baja mode, where typically right now what we see is the Wade mode button is now a light bar button. Only in off-road mode, which makes sense because this is really only meant, the Tesla version is only really meant for off-road mode to be usable. And if you go dive into the off-road manual, they talk about a couple different things. They have a little like page about auxiliary power. They talk about how there's a power feed to the roof. That's where we're tying into the power for the light bar, but they also have auxiliary power into the front. That's typically you've seen like what they call ditch lights. So like on the bottom edge of the glass, you have like these little tiny spotlights on the edge that usually kind of spots into the ditches, just give you more of like a wider spread of light. Those typically will feed into the front, which all of that you can do right now without off-road mode. I just thought it was interesting they called that out. But something to note, one last thing is the off-road light bar. They say, obviously you can purchase the off-road light bar from the Tesla shop. So confirmed dual motor will have availability via the Tesla shop, but it's going to Cyberbeast first.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Says this light bar is designed to work in harmony with the existing high beams and communicates with the vehicle directly, enabling you to control forward-facing or ditch lighting on separately, as well as controlling the overall brightness of the light bar. So the brightness of the light bar is really kind of the key there, and I bet that's actually, when I was looking at the wires, I only had a black and a red wire, and there was a green wire that I didn't use. It's just hanging there loose. I bet that's where you get dimming control or whatever else control you need with the OEM that they've got. So that's kind of cool. Like some interesting tidbits that the OEM light bar is definitely going to have an upper edge. And the last little bit here says off-road light bar is only intended for off-road use only and should never be used in public roads, obviously. So I probably will never get my wish of having like a hotkey because it kind of counterintuitive. Like if you gave a hotkey of someone driving on the road to shine their bright ass light bar, then that's probably a bad thing. So I get that.
But don't you think? Because this whole time I'm thinking about it. What if having the ability to have a hotkey specific to when you're in off-road mode?
I think if you're in off-road mode, it's always going to be on. It's going to be like your brights, and I think that's basically what it will be. So like your headlights will be your headlights, and when your brights turn on, it'll be both your brights below and your light bar will turn on. That's what it sounds like. It's going to be smart enough to include it.
Okay.
Which makes sense off road.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to have, like you're saying, the hotkey functionality, but if for safety reasons, yeah, they don't want.
Yeah, it comes
They
down to
don't.
price. Like if Tesla comes out with their light bar and it's $2,000 for their light bar, I could see that being a hard decision between having the integrated functionality versus 750 to 900 for an aftermarket from T-Sportline. Or I know like Cybertruck Co. and a couple others, they actually have light bars too. But the other benefit too that they have here is that it's so streamlined. It's basically kind of designed to be right there at the apex, so it doesn't sit much above.
Yeah.
And I think I sent you the still image, but I'm not sure if you can actually get it from the video. But more importantly is seeing the light bar from the side and kind of down. I forget where it is.
Here,
Yeah.
I could just pull up right here.
Oh wait, you get it there. Yeah, right in here. Maybe like back up some and play and pause it. So you can already see here from the profile is that like it's integrated into that edge. So there it's super slim. So it's not too aggressive, which could be a look that you're going for if you don't want it to be very aggressive. But the most important thing that the most important thing I want to bring up here is that notice how with the OEM light bar installed, you also have access to the crossbar mounting point just behind it. So the T-Sportline actually mounts to where that crossbar is.
Interesting.
And
That's a good point.
It takes up the whole crossbar. So you can't have a crossbar there with this T-Sportline at all.
Good point.
It takes up that area and it basically extends out to the edge with the bracket. If that crossbar is something that you absolutely need, that's something to consider, and you probably wouldn't go to the OEM. If it's not, then you could probably go something like T-Sportline or something aftermarket because they're using that bracket as a mounting point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not really sure what Tesla's using to actually mount the actual bar itself to the window or whatnot. And the question is how are they routing the electrical? Because the electrical comes out of that port and maybe they just like route it underneath and then you have to get it installed at like a service center or who knows.
I've heard they're using two-way tape.
Interesting. So it's like it's taped to the top?
It's taped to your windshield, to the very, very top of your windshield. And I would also assume that it has to be service center installed. I don't think they're going to This is
Yeah,
just an assumption. I don't think they're going to allow people to just have this shipped to their house and they just do the install themselves.
I'd agree.
This is going to be something that, like the Cyber Tent, formerly known as Basecamp, uh, this is going to be something that I'm assuming, because of, they want to make sure that, you got to make sure that the surface is clean, and it's not crooked, and they're gonna I'm assuming they're gonna want to just have that done at a service center, and you can um, they'll put it up for you and they'll wire it and they'll do all that. Because I mean, when you're looking at it from this view right here, um, it's so low profile.
Oh yeah,
You can't even, like, if you didn't know there was a light bar up there, you wouldn't even know.
yeah,
It's like, it really just. But you made a huge point that I didn't think about, is the fact that, yeah, you're losing access to the mounting point for, like, in this image, this Cybertruck has a crossbar in those mounting points. You're unable to do that with the T-Sportline because you're needing those mounting points for your light bar. So that is
correct.
something to consider for anybody that is looking to have crossbars up in that area.
Yeah,
You may
if you
want
want
to
to do
just
the
wait.
T-Sportline as well as crossbar, yeah, definitely it's going to be
Yeah.
hard consideration. I don't think the bolts are even long enough to accommodate both
Hmm.
because of how it's set up. Like, yeah, I don't think it would. I don't think it would work.
That's interesting. But
One other
I'm
thing, if you have, oh sorry, if you have the image of just without the lights on, there's one other thing that
oh,
is
from
kind of a,
yours? Yep.
yeah, the benefit of having the OEM light is there is kind of a curvature to the top windshield,
Which
just
image did you
just
want?
slightly, just from the front, if you have it. Yeah, perfect. So there's somewhat of a curvature to the top uh, apex. Yeah, you can see it there. So the OEM light bar will actually kind of follow that curvature,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the T-Sportline is just a straight line. So I've heard people call out that they don't want it or do want it, so that's definitely another thing to keep in mind. As you notice here too, it doesn't actually extend all the way to the edges. That's another trade-off just to consider. But to each their own. I think
Interesting.
personally, I think it looks more aggressive this way, and I think that's kind of a look that some people might want.
Yeah.
So it kind of give or take. If you want that light bar to be prevalent, I think T-Sportline is a great choice. If you want it to be more slim profile and just have it when you need it, it'd probably be the OEM is where to go. So I think the price point of the light bar for all the dual motors is going to probably sway a lot of people. But I could see people with the Cyber Beast easily just waiting. Just wait till the light bar comes in because you already paid for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I do like the look of it. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
personally I like it. Yeah,
I think
gives
it
it
looks
something
good.
extra. My
Yeah.
wife looked at it and was like, "Okay, now it looks like we're actually ready for the zombie apocalypse." I'm like, okay, that little touch did a lot, I guess.
Let me ask you this. So you installed it and then you went to that event. Did anybody comment on it?
Yeah, they just like, yeah, cool. You have the light bar too. They basically, it they didn't say anything that like it felt out of place. It
Hmm.
felt like it was a part of the package, so it kind of fit the bill there.
Awesome.
And I don't think that's even because of a wrap or anything. I think this would look good even without a wrap truck. I think on a OEM, just raw metal would look just as good. But
Well, I'm super happy for you, because I know that's something that you were frustrated with the fact that it took a little longer than you would have wanted. But you got it. You're happy with it, and it looks really good. So
yeah,
congratulations.
super happy. Thank you. It's ironic that I'm like impatient after waiting 4 years for a truck.
Hey, I don't
I can't
blame
wait
you.
4 months.
We waited 4 years for our truck. We just want everything. Because you know what? It's funny that you bring that up, because I'm the same way. Now it's like everything. Like, we were talking about it before we started the show. I mean, there's certain products and things that I'm working on, and I'm wanting installed on my truck, and it's kind of taking a little longer than I want it to, and I'm just like, I want this stuff and I want it now. Like, like, I'm tired of waiting. So I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Speaking of things that are tired of waiting. There is someone that went out camping, and raccoons were tired of waiting for them to open their tonneau, that the raccoons jumped up onto the top of the truck and tried to get into the back of their vehicle. They're smelling food, they're smelling something, and they're trying to get in. And as you can see, the rubber seal on the end of the tonneau got ripped up from these very impatient raccoons. So
Facebook just tells me that the raccoons were just confused that it was a dumpster and they were trying to get in. So
yeah, well, yeah. They saw that thing. They're like, oh, they moved the
no
trash
fault
can.
on them.
Let's try to get in there. So
Yeah.
I thought this was
Surprised it held up.
funny.
That's cool. Especially even the rubber. Like I would expect the rubber obviously to get like torn apart, but it's kind of cool to see that that they were still not able to even like get in.
And you could see, I mean, there's paw marks. Let's see if I can get this bigger. All the way up towards the glass. I'm sure there's even some up on the glass. And so these raccoons were up there. Whether it was one or two, I'm not sure, but they were up there, and they did some damage to the seal. I agree with you. It's not. There's less damage than you would think, but they would try to get in. These guys try to get in, and it also goes to show you that the actual plastic part of the tonneau held up really well. And
Yeah, I'm surprised
you
at
know,
that actually,
it
because I've seen
kept.
that back tailgate piece pop off on at least one truck.
Oh, this one right here.
Yeah, the top
Um,
tailgate piece.
yeah. Speaking about that piece, mine is so scratched up from all the crap I'm loading in and loading out of
Yeah,
my truck that it's all scratched up, and I've thought, oh, it doesn't look like it's going to be an expensive piece to get replaced at some point, so I'm not too worried about it. But
it's an
mine
easy
hasn't
thing.
popped off, so
Easy
I haven't
replacement.
seen that. One thing I wanted to talk about as well is the fact that news also broke out this week that recent Model Y rear-wheel drives, you can unlock an extra energy boost, as they're calling it. You can get, from what I understand, a 30-mile boost or a 50-mile boost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something that you can do in the app. You can unlock extra miles. I don't like that from the standpoint of you shouldn't have to pay to get those. I mean, if it's something that I've been talking about with the Cybertruck, is that I think that there's a lot of refinement that is going into the Cybertruck currently. I know that last week we talked about they're already exploring replacing a motor, right? Because there's some efficiency advantages to that potentially. And what does that mean? That potentially means more mileage, right? You get
Yep.
more range out of your Cybertruck. And so if I was to get an email from Tesla saying, "Hey, guess what? Pay us another $1,600, $2,000, and we're going to give you an extra 20, 30 miles." Number one, I'd probably pay it, unfortunately, because I'm going to want as much mileage as I can get. But I won't be happy about it. I would feel like that's something that they should just give you. If they figured out a
Yeah.
way to squeeze out a few extra miles for you, just give it to me.
It's a
Don't
digital
make me
lock.
pay.
Like, yeah, I don't like
Yeah,
that. Who was it that was it BMW? One of the other like other companies that were starting to put things behind a monthly paywall. They're like, oh,
yeah,
like the heated seats, right? You're like, oh, you can't use the heated seats until you like pay us $20 a month or something. Like
they're
it's just like
ridiculous.
it's low hanging fruit ways
Yeah,
to get more
yeah,
money, and
yeah.
because we know what's gonna happen is like they'll do that for like 5 years, and then they'll just like loop it in, and be like, oh yeah, the Model Y
It,
has got 50
yeah,
more miles. It's like, oh,
yep.
where did this come from? And people are
The
gonna be like,
suckers
ah,
that
man, I wasted
paid,
my money.
yep. The
Yeah,
suckers that paid, they got away with it, and then
yeah,
everybody else just the waiting game, and you get it for free. Yeah, no, I agree with you
yeah.
100%.
I don't like that.
But I'd be
Plus,
one of those guys that would pay. I'm being honest with you.
if you just have it,
I
well,
hate
if you
admitting
need
that.
it, that's the other thing. So it's like if you could really use it and justify the cost, like if your commute was like somewhere where like that extra 50 made the difference, then I could see justifying like that kind of upcharge. But you would really have to like I feel like it's a really slim portion of the market, and they're really just going to go for the upsell. Be like, hey, by the way, do you want this? And then like it's an upsell, is what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah,
what it
and it's a
is.
digital lock. I hate those. Like I feel like even the dual motor Cybertruck, the top speed tops out at 115, and I think that's just a digital like governor. Like there's no way
Hmm.
it can go faster than that. Like the Cyber Beast is 130. So
Well,
why?
they've done that already, right? I've seen that happen with Tesla, where they
Mm-hmm.
offer you can unlock extra speed
Yeah.
on other vehicles, not on the Cybertruck, but I've seen that in other vehicles where it's like, hey, you're 0 to 60 right now, and I'm just making these numbers up, is 3.2 seconds, but we can get it to 2.8 if you pay us $1,500 or
Yeah.
2,000, whatever it is. And I'm like, now I wouldn't pay for that. I don't care about the speed, to be honest with you.
0 to 60 though, that's where it really matters. Like top speed, I can wave off, but the 0 to 60, that's where I'm like, okay, I
0
would
to
pay extra for
60.
the 0 to 60.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't. I mean, it's cool. It's cool, but that wouldn't sway me to spend money. But if they gave it to me, I'd love it. But I wouldn't pay money for that.
I was this close to getting the Model 3 Performance, remember?
Yeah, I know. That's still
It's
a
tempting.
beautiful car. I was telling actually one of my friends, I think it was yesterday or a couple days ago. I go, if because he asked me, he goes, would you everything that you know now about the Cybertruck, would you buy it again? And I told him absolutely, I would. And I told him, I said, but if I had to get rid of it for whatever reason, the car I would get would be the Model 3 Performance. That
That's exactly
thing,
what I'm saying.
I'm just in love with that car. Everything that you
Price for
get and the
performance,
price,
it's
pound for
perfect.
pound. Yep.
Yeah. And you even have extra room to put a nice like PPF wrap on. It's like a matte satin PPF wrap over the top. Do it like a black
Yeah.
satin over the top. Oh,
Yeah. No,
all day.
I'm right there with you. What color would you get if you were just going to get it from the factory? You're going to get a color, and you're going to leave that color. You weren't going to wrap it. You weren't going to do anything.
Oh
What color would you get?
shoot, I'd probably still go black, but I would be disappointed. I would still have to wrap it.
I have to. I'd
Or
get
red.
red.
Red would be cool.
I'd get red.
Yeah,
That
me
thing
either.
with the white interior. Oh my gosh,
Looks pretty.
so sexy, so sexy.
If you're gonna
But
get pulled over, might
anyways,
as well get pulled over in a red car. Go
hey,
big.
you're driving a Model 3 Performance. You're gonna get pulled over because you're gonna be driving fast either way. So
100%, you're gonna get pulled over.
regardless of the color.
It's
Uh,
it's price to play.
quick thing before we start wrapping this up, if you see what I did there. But Tesla Cybertruck had more registered. There was more registered Cybertrucks in the month of May than Ford Lightnings and R1Ts combined.
Believe it.
Obviously, there's a huge backlog of people wanting their Cybertruck, people that have pre-ordered them. So those numbers, are going to be there, and they're going to be there for quite some time. But it just goes to show you that people want it, people are buying it, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. This is going to be something that we're going to hear a lot about for probably the next years.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to slow down anytime soon. Tesla is going to be pumping out a lot of Cybertrucks, and so this is just kind of showing in the early days still, because we're still in the early days, that it's already surpassing some of these other EV trucks.
Yeah. Can't compete. Well, we already saw we talked about last week about how in June it was the number one selling vehicle over $100,000, and that's
Vehicle, not
3,400.
even
Yeah,
a truck, not even EV
all
truck, not
vehicles.
even EV, just
Yeah,
all 100,000 plus vehicles in
which
June.
surely
It
will
was
change.
the number
But
one.
what is interesting is was it this last weekend? Yeah, it was this last weekend. Shout out to Aaron George on X. We met in passing, driving around the Domain, which is kind of like an outdoor mall area around. I was just kind of doing a couple laps because there was a lot of people. It's Saturday, it's busy, so just go through. And then I just realized that, oh wait, there's another Cybertruck as we're in passing. And then I realized that like as we're passing, oh, I recognize that guy and I know him on X. Um, so we kind of like do a couple of like circles around until we're able to like finally meet up together. Um, and then eventually like kind of did some laps around the mall like as 2 Cybertrucks, because what's better than one is 2. But yeah,
I love how
he
you guys are doing that.
it was a lot of fun. I mean, just to, like, see like 2 Cybertrucks and people's reactions, because there was like, I forget, there was some celebrity, it didn't really matter at that point, was in the area. She was doing like some kind of like tour or whatnot, so there's like tons of people around, but everyone's just like Cybertrucks, and like even one guy like had stopped us and walked by and was like, "Oh yeah, I build these for a living," blah blah blah, and like gave a little insight. So it was kind of cool
Oh,
because
cool.
here in Austin, you're right next to the Gigafactory, so you get that. It was a lot of fun, and got to stop and talk to him. He just picked it up like, I think, a week or 2 prior, still had temp tags and everything on it. And he said his van's well over 19,000 now.
Really?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about VINs in quite some time, but wow, it's 19,000.
Yeah,
So they're
19,000.
at the 20,000 VIN mark.
Here we are.
Interesting. And I'm sure
20,000
it's
by
probably
July.
even beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's makes me feel even better about being sub 1,000. So,
Right. And honestly, I'll give him credit, because panel gaps and everything looked pretty good. Because I know there was kind of a weird kind of build gap of like, as they were ramping up, we started to see some kind of fluctuations in quality. I've seen some photos of some people like some crazy ass panel gap
mhm,
between the frunk
yeah.
and lining up. And this one looked pretty good. Another thing to note, he already had the wiper motor replaced. So the recall
Mm,
wiper motor, it was already replaced before he picked it up.
I forgot
As
about that.
well, the rivet was in his vehicle too.
I was gonna ask that as
Yeah,
you were talking. I was gonna ask how are they handling that now in the production line? Are they still doing rivets?
I think they might be doing rivets. I'm not sure if that's like the way to go forward, but
Wow,
at least at this point in the line, that's what they've got.
they're just doing
So
rivets.
yeah, he
Wow.
got the rivet as soon as he picked it up. So very interesting. I was like, oh, this is fairly interesting. I was like, 19,000? Like, what?
Yeah,
Here I'm at like 1,500, and you guys are even
yeah,
lower than that. So
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's I mean that our VINs are gonna be that much more unique. Obviously, they're unique, but they're going to be that much more unique as time passes. I mean, there's going to be a time
Yeah,
where they're going to be hundreds of thousands, and it's like,
yeah.
1,500, 500. It's going to be crazy. Um, so now I want to get into, as we're wrapping this up. There I go again with my segues. Talk about the wrap of the week.
Puns.
Yep. This was
Rusty
one
puns.
that you sent to me, and I find it to be
I think it's
super
hilarious.
super cool.
Shout out to John Cronin. I think he was debating on doing it for a little while and ended up going with a unicorn wrap instead of this. But he highly debated on doing like a vinyl like rusty wrap, especially when it was super popular to shit on Cybertrucks about being rusty. I think this works so well. Like it's
That
like
shot right
it
there.
looks cool. It looks cool.
Yeah. That shot right
Um,
there with all the metal and whatnot in the
yeah.
back.
And they
It's
Cerakoted the wheels too. Like that's a really nice touch that I think is highly underrated.
that
Um,
that is the
really makes
touch
it.
of it all, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
It just adds that extra the little
patina.
yeah. So no, they did a great job with this. It's a really unique wrap. We're always talking about it. That's the whole point of us doing this segment on the show, is just to kind of show people what others are doing and get people's creativity going, because this is cool. This is super unique. So
Yeah,
congratulations to them on doing something different, something I wouldn't do, but I'm happy they did. So
totally.
great job.
And honestly, not to steal the thunder, but like bringing it back to our truck, I keep hearing people constantly talk about the transparent side of it and
Hmm.
how unique that comes in. Like Bespoke at a Cedar Park, they've done now almost 3 trucks now at the exact same wrap since we've done it in February. So it's definitely really popular around here. But I'm really looking forward to seeing where some of these like film companies go with more transparent films that are colored. Because I feel like if you had not just a tinted PPF from like clear to black of like a colored the PPF from like clear to blue or
Mm-hmm.
red or whatever color you want, if you put that on a Cybertruck given the scenario we're in,
Yeah.
anytime I talk to somebody, they look at our truck and they're like, "Oh, it looks like it's painted." They're like, "It looks like it just came from the factory that way." They're like mind blown by the look of it, and I'm like, you could easily make it look like it's painted blue, like blue metal with a
Yeah.
blue tinted PPF that's actually semi-transparent. So I think there's a market there if whoever Legend. I'm hoping Legend does it because that's the PPF we have. But any other like PPF company out there, if you're listening to this, jump on it.
See, there you
There's a
go.
market.
Yeah, no, there's it's and I've seen more and more um, companies that are coming out with these online storefronts where they're doing these Cybertruck wraps. I think the Cybertruck wrap, it's like a phenomena.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that are into it. It's a full-fledged thing. You know that you have your Cybertruck, you go get it wrapped, and
yeah.
people are just doing really crazy, unique things to it, and it's fun. It's cool.
Like what other vehicle does that? And it's just like
Yeah.
because it's on purpose. It's almost like a blank canvas. Like
Yep. And
it's okay as is. It's not for everybody, but you can make it whatever you want.
and that's something that our good friend Will has been stating from the beginning, right? That it's this canvas, and um, you got to showcase that and do something with it. And he's been harping on that from the beginning. And so, yeah,
Totally.
you're 100% right. Last thing I have is the what were they thinking? I know that's the segment, what it's called. I'm not going to get into the literal stance that these people have. It's just more of you know, the fact that these people walked into a
Activists.
Tesla showroom and just started throwing paint on top of the Cybertruck that was showcased in the showroom. Obviously, they were trying to send a message for the cause that they are promoting, but I still don't agree with anybody vandalizing anybody else's property for whatever benefit or purpose there is.
I'll just say they should have had a wrapped. It'll have been easier to get off. Wrapped in a ceramic coat on top of all of the glass, so it would have been easier to clean. Because like I even we did ceramic coat on top of our film as well as the glass, and like if you take a Sharpie to the outside of our film, the Sharpie almost disintegrates. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't work. It's wild, but yeah, it's just sad because I feel bad for like the people at the service center that like this is the one Cybertruck that they've gotten, and that's it. Like like I said, I talked to a local service center and I was like, hey, when are you guys gonna get a Cybertruck? And they're like, not anytime soon, maybe a year from now. And then
Really?
even longer for like a Cybertruck that they could use for like test drives. Like that's maybe still like a year and a half out.
Wow.
So yeah,
I wonder
it's
why.
just they're focusing on the consumer. They're getting them out to consumers
Mm,
like ASAP. And really, these Cybertrucks they get out to the service centers um, may not even be Foundation Series. So they're really focusing on Foundation Series first.
mm.
Uh, but yeah, so it's sad because they're gonna have to like buff out the metal, probably replace the glass or get something off of it.
Well, I wanted to make a point of this employee here. You can see he rushes in with the key card to make sure that he locks the vehicle so that way they can't get inside
Yes,
and
that's good.
vandalize
Good
the
call.
interior. I think he saw it
Smart.
as the outside we can clean a lot easier than those perforated seats if paint
Yeah, that's
gets
very
into
smart.
them. Which, you know what? Let's go ahead and I need to talk about something. So that was the what were they thinking for everyone. But real quick, so I chauffeured my niece to her prom, and
Oh no.
she wore a dress that had glitter
Oh no, I was gonna say glitter.
there, and this was in May. I still have glitter in the little perforations of that back seat.
Tell me about it.
You have a glitter issue?
I mean, I don't. Did I tell the strip club story on podcast?
No, you did
No.
not.
Okay.
But let me grab some
Yeah.
popcorn and a cocktail. Tell me.
Well, like no. Like so, I had a renter that
Sure,
seemed totally
you had a
normal,
renter.
and I just yeah. It wasn't me. It wasn't me driving. But I swear to you, like I'm almost like top of my list of the worst things you could do in my Cybertruck is smoking it.
Yeah.
Everything else seems to be like obviously paint. Yeah, we'll throw that out. That's not going to be happening. But smoking in it, and then second is glitter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've run into some glitter, and it comes from the weirdest places. Of like you do have those like gift bags
Yeah.
for like birthdays that are like have all the glitter stuff, and you put
Yeah.
those gift bags in like the frunk, and you just get glitter everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Is that the story?
I've had a run-ins with glitter. So the strip club thing, I was like, I was just curious. I was like, okay, what's going on with this rental? Like, just check in to make sure everything was okay. Just see location. Look at the location on the app, and it's at the Yellow Rose, which is a local strip club. I'm like, I did not get that kind of vibe at all from the renter when they picked it up. But I just thought it was funny. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I've caught on a glitter once in a while. But yeah, I'm with you there. It's hard to get out, especially
So
because the perforated. You're right. It's like
yeah.
it's porous
Yeah.
in the leather.
So let me ask you this: you've had glitter get into the perforations, and you've been able to get it out?
No.
Okay. All right. So
Like
yes.
under my microscope, you can find some glitter still in there.
No. Yeah. If you open up my door, and the light is hitting it just right, like you see glitter, like here and there. And I've put a vacuum on there, and I'm trying to vacuum it, and it just some of it just won't come out. So
yeah,
if Will was here, that would be his tip. The segment we do with Will, which would be no glitter in a Cybertruck. There's your tip because you're not getting it out. So that's all I got, Chase. Anything else?
I think it's it. Yeah, no glitter. Just
no glitter.
Just be nice. Don't.
Yeah,
don't wear glitter.
Don't vent. Don't. Yeah. So, all right, Chase. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody who joined us this evening. We should be getting back to our regular times here soon.
Cool.
I know we're doing later for the summer, but in a week or two. Okay, real quick announcement. Next week, I'm going to be out of town. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the podcast on Wednesday, so we may have to take 1 week
Thursday?
off. Well, I'm going to be leaving. I actually leave next Wednesday, and I won't be back until the following Monday.
Okay, that's fine.
So, I mean, we could possibly do Tuesday, or we skip the week, or I can always try to do it from the hotel. I have no problem doing that. I worry about the connection.
Yeah.
One thing that we can do is maybe earlier in the day, I can try to do it as far as just test it, see how that goes, and then attempt it. What I don't want to do is we start it and then like 10 minutes in, I'm just, and then now you're by yourself, or it's you and Will, and now you guys are just, like, what do we do? So
agreed.
We'll figure it out, but just wanted to throw that out there. So if anybody's listening, potentially there will not be an episode next week. I'm going to try to figure it out, though.
Stay tuned.
Yep. All right, Chase. Appreciate it.
Cool. See y'all.